The Lords Appellant were a group of nobles in the reign of King Richard II who sought to impeach some 5 of the king's favourites in order to restrain what was seen as tyrannical and capricious rule. The word appellant simply means appealing. It is the older French form of the present participle of the verb appeler, the equivalent of the English to appeal. The group was called the Lords Appellant because its members invoked a procedure under law to start prosecution of the king's unpopular favourites, known as an appeal. The favourites were charged in a document called an appeal of treason, a device borrowed from civil law which led to some procedural complications. Members. There were originally 3 Lords Appellant: Thomas of Woodstock, Duke of Gloucester, son of Edward III and thus the king's uncle; Richard Fitzalan, Earl of Arundel and of Surrey; and Thomas de Beachy, Earl of Warwick. These were later joined by Henry Bolingbroke, Earl of Derby, and Thomas de Mowbray, Earl of Nottingham. Success. They achieved the goals, first establishing a commission to govern England for 1 year from the 19th of November 1386. In 1387, the Lords Appellant launched an armed rebellion against King Richard and defeated an army under Robert de Vere, Earl of Oxford at the skirmish of Radcot Bridge outside Oxford. They maintained Richard as a figurehead with little real power. They had the revenge on the king's favourites in the merciless Parliament. The nominal governor of Ireland, de Vere, and Richard's Lord Chancellor, Michael de Lippold, Earl of Suffolk, who had fled abroad, were sentenced to death in their absence. Alexander Neville, Archbishop of York, had all his worldly goods confiscated. The Lord Chief Justice, Sir Robert Tressilian, was executed, as were Sir Nicholas Brember, Lord Mayor of London, John Beauchamp of Holt, Sir James Berners, and Sir John Salisbury. Sir Simon Burley was found guilty of exercising undue influence over the king and was sentenced to death. Derby and Nottingham, together with the Duke of York, tried to win a reprieve for him, but he was executed on the 5th of May. Aftermath. In 1389, Richard's uncle and supporter, John of Gaunt, returned from Spain and Richard was able to rebuild his power gradually until 1397, when he reasserted his authority and destroyed the principal 3 among the Lords Appellant. However, in 1399 Richard was deposed by Gaunt's son, Henry of Bolingbroke, partly as a result of the royal confiscation of Gaunt's estate on his death. Bolingbroke succeeded him as Henry IV. Richard never forgave the Lords Appellant. His uncle Gloucester was murdered in captivity in Calais. It was widely believed that he was killed on Richard's orders. The Earl of Arundel was beheaded. Warwick lost his title and his lands and was imprisoned on the Isle of Man until Richard was overthrown by Henry Bolingbroke. The behaviour of the 2 junior Lords Appellant, Bolingbroke and Mowbray, probably influenced Richard's decision in 1399 to exile them both, and to revoke the permission he had given them to sue for any inheritance which fell due, as it did in relation to Mowbray's hurt mother and, more significantly, of Bolingbroke's father, John of Gaunt.